And it's really an honor to be a part of this community because I think that's a very important part of our overall health. Over the years, I've screened through, I don't know, tons of schools around here and seen patients from all over the state. And there's definitely a difference in the dental health of patients that come from towns that have fluoride. So thank you very much. It makes me really proud to be a part of this community. And currently we are doing a push to try to get the whole northeast sector of the state fluoridated, which is quite a feat, but it's going to give fluoride to 75,000 more of our citizens. So thank you. And thank you all. So we'll take a picture.
Next item on the agenda is a presentation from Amanda Schultz with Williams Keepers.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you mentioned, Amanda Schultz is here from Williams Keepers to present the 2021 audit report. We did receive a clean audit again, so that's our goal every year. So without further ado, Amanda.
All right, thank you, Greg. Well, good evening, everyone. As Greg mentioned, my name is Amanda Schultz. I'm an audit partner at Williams Keepers in Columbia. We appreciate the opportunity to do the city's audit again this year. I believe this is our third, maybe even fourth year auditing the city of Moberly, as well as to present our summary report to you all this evening. So we will just be going through the summary, not the entire blue book that you have in front of you. This summary report hits the highlights of the individual reports that we issued as a result of our audit of the city's financial statements as of and for the fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2021. The first report, if you turn to the first page, is the annual financial report or the audited financial statements. As Greg mentioned, we issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on the city's financial statements. In our opinion, those financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting. That is the best opinion that the city can get, and it means that the users of your financial statements can rely on them. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of those financial statements. Although we prepared them, it is a common practice for us as independent auditors to do so. Management did review and approve them before they were issued back in December. We used our judgment in determining how to audit the city again this year. We perform an annual risk assessment process where we take a look at balances, transactions, processes, and controls, and we focus our attention on areas where the city's financial statements could be misstated. So we don't audit every balance or every transaction, but we do enough work in order to be able to give that unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements. At the very bottom of the first page, the city's financial statements do include both fund financial statements on pages 3 through 8 and notes that support those financial statements on pages 9 through 25. Moving on to the next page of the summary report, the tables on page 2 summarize the highlights from the city's governmental funds financial statements as of and for the year ended June 30th, 2021, and there is comparative information back to the previous fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2020. And again, these tables are just for the city's governmental funds. We'll get to the proprietary funds or the utility funds on the next page. Just a few highlights. Total assets increased by $2.2 million, primarily due to some debt proceeds that were received and weren't spent during fiscal year 21. And that was related to the $1.7 million of Series 2020 bonds that were issued to finance the downtown improvements project. Total liabilities increased by about $65,000. That's really just due to an increase and interfund borrowing. Total fund balances, that third bullet point there, I do apologize, should say increased by $2.1 million during fiscal year 21. Moving down just a bit, total revenues increased by $4.9 million, primarily due to the federal grants that the city received during fiscal year 21. We'll talk a little bit more about the grants in just a minute. Total expenditures increased by $3.6 million, primarily due to the airport runway reconstruction and the sidewalk improvement projects during fiscal year 21, and those were funded by federal grants. Total other financing sources increased by $871,000, primarily due to the debt proceeds that I previously mentioned. Moving on to page 3 of the summary report, as I mentioned, these tables summarize the highlights from the city's proprietary or utility funds, those fund financial statements as of and for the years ended June 30th, 2021 and 2020. Total assets increased by $451,000, primarily due to an increase in cash and cash equivalents as a result of those utility funds continuing to have a positive change in net position during fiscal year 21 or continued positive net income. Total liabilities for those funds were stable, and total net position increased by $460,000. Total revenues increased by $521,000, primarily due to increases in water and sewer rates for those utility funds, as well as increases in contribution rates for the city's only internal service fund, which is its health trust fund. Total operating expenses increased by $1.3 million, primarily due to an increase in capital outlay during fiscal year 21. And total non-operating revenues increased by $657,000, primarily due to additional debt proceeds that were received during the year. The water fund had a $2.7 million lease purchase agreement that was entered into during fiscal year 21. On the next page, this is a change for fiscal year 21 because the city had expenditures of federal awards exceeding $750,000. It was required to have a single audit performed for fiscal year 21. The city had federal expenditures of about $3.9 million for various programs that are listed in the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards, which is found on page 42 to those audited financial statements. So as a result of that single audit, we obviously performed some additional procedures this year, and we also issued 2 additional reports as a result of the single audit. The first one can be found on pages 38 and 39. It's a report on internal control and compliance related to financial reporting, and it reported no material weaknesses and no instances of noncompliance. The other report is on pages 40 and 41. It's a report on internal control and compliance related to the major federal programs that were subject to the single audit, and it had an unmodified opinion on compliance and no findings. So both clean letters there. The programs that we tested as major federal programs were the Airport Improvement Program, the Highway Planning and Construction Program, and the Recreation Trails Program. So, in summary, another clean audit for the single audit this year. The auditor's communication letter is another report that we issued as a result of our audit. This letter includes comments about the audit process that we are required by our professional standards to communicate to the governing board of the auditee, and for the city council serves that role. So just a few highlights. We didn't note any transactions that we considered both unusual and significant, and there were no changes in accounting policies during the year. So this means that there were no new accounting standards that required changes in the way the city accounts for or reports anything in these financial statements as compared to prior years. As part of our audit, we did evaluate any estimates that impact the financial statements in order to determine that they were reasonable in relation to the financial statements taken as a whole. We also evaluated the disclosures in the financial statements and found them to be neutral, consistent, and clear, and we made sure that all of the required disclosures to support the financial statements are included. We did find the accounting records to be in good order. Consistent with prior years, we did propose a few audit adjustments as a result of our procedures, which were accepted by management and recorded on the city's books. And last but not least, we had no disagreements with management on accounting or auditing issues, really had no difficulties in performing our audit, and felt we received full cooperation from everyone that we worked with. We also issued a management letter as a result of our audit this year. Although the scope of our engagement was not directed towards giving an opinion on internal control, it was directed towards giving an opinion on those financial statements. We still considered the city's internal control as a basis for designing our audit procedures, kind of related to that risk assessment process that I mentioned previously. Our management letter basically states that based on the limited procedures we performed on the city's internal control, we didn't identify any deficiencies in the city's internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. Our letter does include some recommendations that are opportunities for the city to enhance its internal control, and these are just best practice type recommendations. They're related to access to the accounting software, information technology, interfund balances, and special revenue funds. Those have been included in our management letter in the past, and again, are just best practice type recommendations. They don't rise to the level of a significant deficiency or a material weakness in the city's internal controls. In connection with the financial statement audit, we also performed a MIRMA audit. The report for MIRMA contains the city schedule of payroll reportable to MIRMA for the calendar year that ended December 31st, 2020, along with our report on the schedule for which we issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on that schedule as well. I know I went through all of our reports very quickly and at a very high level. Are there any questions about this summary report, about the audit in general, anything that I can answer for you all this evening? Yes, sir.
I did have one question. On page 2, it's the fourth bullet point says that our fund balance has decreased $2,102,000, and yet when you look at the numbers, it looks like it's increased from 20 to 21.
Yes, sir, that is incorrect. The fund balances did increase by
So that
2.1
wasn't-
million.
yeah, that was
Correct.
kind of-
Yeah, if you look at the table below, it is a positive net change in fund balance of 2.1 million. There was a decrease in the prior year of 27,000. So yeah, that is just
So
a
that
mistake
should-
in this report.
That should be increased.
Increased, yes, sir.
Anyone else? Just getting this report tonight, I'm planning on reviewing it some more, so I may have questions in the future, but I don't have any at the moment. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for your time this evening. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to do the audits. Brian and Greg and Matt and their teams are always great to work with, so appreciate it.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Mhm. All right, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. We have number 4, an ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I have an ordinance amending section 40-711 of the city code by adding subsections 26 and 27. Ask for it to be read for passage.
All right, there's a motion for the reading of the ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading.
An ordinance amending section 40-711 of the city code by adding subsections 26 and 27.
All right, you've heard the reading of the ordinance. Any discussion? Hearing none, second reading.
An ordinance amending section 40-711 of the city code by adding subsections 26 and 27.
All right, you've heard the second reading of the ordinance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Roll call, please.
Jeffrey?
Yes.
Brubaker?
Yes.
Kimmons?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Kaiser?
Okay. Motion carries. The ordinance is passed. Number 5, I believe, is an ordinance that's been tabled. Mr. Thompson, do we have to bring it off the table before we can vote on it, or
No,
what would be the procedure?
no, it was tabled to the next meeting, so
Okay,
it's on
so
the
we
agenda.
don't need a motion to that effect. Okay, so we are on number 5, an ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have an ordinance approving the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission cost share agreement for Business 63 Highway and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Moberly. I ask that it be read twice for consideration of passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading.
An ordinance approving a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission cost share agreement for Business 63 Highway and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Moberly.
All right, you've heard the first reading of the ordinance. Is there any discussion?
Yes,
Mr. Sanders?
the attorneys from MoDOT, I just got response back late today that they have not reviewed that
are agreed to it. They're reviewing it at this time, but they haven't approved it yet, so.
Table it then?
So
You want to table it
I'd
again?
recommend tabling it again until we're waiting on them. We were hopeful that they would have it
All right.
completed.
What do you, table?
So,
We
yes.
can do that, but we won't, only will have the second reading when we bring it up again. So let's table it to the next meeting.
Okay, is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance is tabled to the next meeting. Moving on to number 6, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution accepting receipt of a MS4 permit and associated revisions to Moberly Stormwater Management Plan. It has to be read once for consideration.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First reading.
A resolution accepting receipt of an MS4 permit and associated revisions to Moberly Stormwater Management Plan.
Okay, you heard the reading of the resolution. Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? I'm sorry. Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion and seconded. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that takes us to number 7.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution adopting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the granting of a conditional use permit to the Moberly School District to construct an alternative education school. Ask for it to be read for consideration.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution adopting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the granting of a conditional use permit to the Moberly School District to construct an alternative education school.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Any further discussion?
I have one.
Mr. Davis.
Tom, where do we stand on, I know it was when the bond was passed and everything, the school board was asked to commit to what they were going to do with the old alternative school, which is the old East Park building. Have they made any other commitment to that, or is it just out there in the wind?
I think Brian could probably answer that better. He's been in communication with them.
Yeah, we've toured the facility and we've talked to the school district, and a few local organizations have shown some interest, but no firm plans yet.
Okay, I know it was a worry among a lot of citizens that was going to wind up like West Park and North Park and some of the other schools.
They made a commitment during the bond issue. I
Right.
think that they would hopefully try to find redevelopment, and if that doesn't happen, then hopefully remove that property or remove the building from the property.
Okay.
So they're going to supposedly look for that solution over the next few years to try to redevelop it or utilize it in some way.
Thank you, Brian.
Anyone else? All right, hearing no further discussion, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution passes. All right, moving on to number 8, resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an on-call engineering services agreement for 2022 with Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. for minor tasks not related to contracts and grant administration. I ask that it be read once for consideration.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an on-call engineering services agreement for 2022 with Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. for minor tasks not related to contracts and grant administration.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution passes. Moving on to the resolution of appropriation.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $477,689.41. Has to be read once for consideration.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $477,689.41.
I hereby certify that there is sufficient money standing to the credit of the city of Moberly, Missouri, unappropriated in the several funds covered by this resolution to meet the requirements of this resolution submitted to Gregory L. Hodge, City Treasurer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution passes. Anything else to come in front of the council? If not, we'll move on to department head monthly reports. Questions from the council? I have one, I guess, from Mr. Hodge, looking at the different sales tax numbers and all that. And I believe, if I'm correct, our budget for 2021-22 was predicated on sales tax rise of 8% to cover expenditures, all other things being the same. Is that correct? Am I remembering that right?
I don't remember a specific percentage. It may have worked out to about that, but we did budget an increase. Yes, you are correct.
My memory serves me, it was 8%. So if we end up at 6.7, then we're not going to be at the revenue level. I mean, obviously you can manage the expense, but we're not going to be hitting the expected revenue level that we actually predicated the budget on for this year. If that's correct, is that possible?
That's entirely possible.
Okay. I mean, it's very good to see those numbers. They're great sales tax numbers. We had a pretty high bar to clip. Anyone else on department head reports? Mr. Davis.
Yeah, Tom, I was looking at the Holman development on Woodland, and refresh my memory, didn't we not agree that he would tear down a certain amount of houses for?
Yes,
in
and he has
exchange for-
agreed to that and signed the agreement.
Yeah, how many houses is he tearing down for this?
There was, I think there's, one of them, ones is our Fowler property, so they're not all houses, some of them are the commercial building out there, small commercial building, and
Sure.
then some of them are rubble. I think there's 11, or something, it's several. I mean,
Yeah.
again, some of them are like burnt structures that, they're piles of rubble that are getting cleaned up, so it varies quite a bit.
Well, if there's 11, that's a great deal for us, I would think.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. We're paying for the demolition or the landfill fees, and he's providing the removal and hauling.
I just kind of wondered because, I mean, when we looked at those 60 houses that he tore down for us, he was charging us probably $4,000 or $5,000 a piece for them on the average. I know
Yes.
some of them were more and some less, but
I can provide you a copy of the agreement, so, we'll show you a breakdown of what we valued the removal cost of it, how we arrived at that $35,000 figure. So we set that valuation and he agreed to it. So it shows the list of what structures and the values we placed on them. So that's on the agreement that he signed.
I don't need to see it. I just was kind of curious about it. So.
Councilman Davis, it, I think, is on the February 7th agenda for council review, so you'll see it pretty soon. I think he just signed it last
Yes,
week, maybe.
just got it.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Anyone else? I guess I had a question for Chief Ryan. Do you have an estimated time when you think you're going to get your fire engine back from repair?
According to what they told me, by the end of next week, I will see it.
I see. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Davis?
Now, this is for Chief Ryan too. I noticed in your report, you said that you were delayed on the Station 2 repairs. Where are you at on,
Full swing right now.
I'm sorry,
It's in full swing right now.
okay. What all do you have to do to that, to the station?
We
Done.
are, we're in the process right now. We're doing some work on the walls to be able to put drywall up and seal it properly. Turn around, we're putting new carpet down in the bedroom area, and some of the electrical work is being looked at to make sure that's good. But basically, then we're going to be priming, painting, and then moving on to the next building project, basically. So that's the main Station 2 project itself, is to get that sealed better for the apparatus bay to the bay room, so they're not basically inhaling diesel fumes all night type thing. So
That's a good thing.
yeah, that's a good thing. And then basically just clean it up and make it look a lot nicer and a little bit more professional and homey. So
I knew that when we toured it, some of us toured it, 6 months to 9 months ago, it was in pretty bad need of repairs, and I was hoping that you'd had made a lot of progress on that.
the living area outside the bedrooms, for sure, we're going to take down the drop ceiling that is pretty disgusting looking, and we're going to basically put a drywall ceiling above it. Should be fairly nominal. The biggest part is going to be the materials, of course, but our guys are already doing all the work, so you're saving a lot of labor costs in the fact that these guys are stepping up and helping out. So, yeah, you'll start seeing bills for it here really quick.
Okay,
Thank
All
you.
right?
thank you.
Anyone else on department head monthly reports? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to consideration for approval of new liquor applications.
Mayor and council, we've received a new liquor license application. It's from Brandy Blackwell for Missouri Axe Company located at 535 West Reed Street, and we ask for approval of the application.
All right, does anyone have any questions about that application? It's a little bit self-explanatory from the name. Hearing
I do have
none.
one question.
Okay, Mr. Davis.
I understand that this is going to be a axe throwing. I just wonder how that, I know that they're becoming quite popular. I just wonder how that works with alcohol involved, how dangerous that gets. So, do we have anybody here?
Well, it's my understanding, like, for example, you'd be the one catching it. And
I
would
vote
be,
no then.
I would be the one throwing it to you. And
Wait a minute, I may want you drunk if you're throwing it. All right.
Okay.
I thought maybe you had somebody here from in the audience to represent.
I've never
them.
done it.
I don't know how they specifically plan to do it, but I've seen it work elsewhere where you throw the axes and then you go to the bar after. That's how some places.
Okay.
We can have them come do a demonstration if you'd like.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I wish
All
I
right.
hadn't opened, I wish I hadn't touched that base.
So is there a motion to approve that application?
so moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Austin's with us.
Yes, sir. And moving on to, well, that's it. So if there isn't anything else, welcome to the end of the meeting.
Sorry, as fast as I could.
Okay, if there's nothing else come in front of the council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to work session, followed by a closed session. Is there a motion to that
So
effect?
moved.
And a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor? All right, we need a roll call. Need a roll call, please?
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Brubaker,
Yes.
Kimmons,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. So we are adjourned from regular session of Moberly City Council. And we'll move on and adopt the work session agenda for this evening. And moving to the first item on that agenda is number 1, an agreement with MoDOT for the sidewalk project on Highway EE.
This is just basically providing access on our right of way for them to connect over the crosswalks. They're doing the sidewalks down the north side of Rollins for EE from Moberly to out about the cemetery. And so they just need to have access over, and this is what the agreement's for, is providing them access to tie into our right of way on the other side of the sidewalk for the crosswalk locations.
Very well. Questions, anyone? Anyone opposed to moving that forward? All right, that'll move forward to the next meeting. Moving on to number 2, an ordinance approving a cooperative agreement with Ricky Davis.
This is a lot, we own 936 Franklin Street. Ricky Davis owns 926, and so he was requested 10 space to get around his house. His house, as you can see in the picture up there in the red box, is very close to his property line. He's not able to get around the house to his rear yard and would like to have that space. He's agreed to split the cost of surveying that to get that done. And so as part of that, we were going to split that lot. You can see it's a very large lot, and we were talking about splitting it in half, north and south, the 10-foot off.
It's in the packet. You can see the line.
Yeah, okay, so this 10-foot would be split off, and that's the part that would go over to this property. We're splitting the cost of the survey. Then we'd split the lot in half this way to have 2 developable lots, and also, while we're at it, dedicate the right-of-way for the alley to extend it all the way over to this alleyway here.
Okay, questions? Anyone opposed to moving that forward to the next meeting? All right, hearing no opposition, we'll move that forward to the next meeting and move on to number 3, a discussion regarding a proposal from Utility Service Company, Inc.
Yes, Mayor, this is for the water tower mixer replacements at our water towers. Dana can answer any information. The next 3 items after that is the actual service agreement for each one of those. So they're all, the next 3 and this one are all related.
All right. Welcome.
You want to get more technical?
I will get as technical as you have time for today. I'm hoping to keep it simple. So 3 towers, 3 mixers. Each was installed in 2011. The Sparks Tower failed earlier this year and was replaced. So that leaves the other 2 towers for the mixers to be replaced. Now that one of those has failed and the other one is showing signs of failure.
Okay. So that's what the item, or item 3 on the agenda is about, the replacement of those.
That's correct.
Okay. Questions, anyone? All right. Anyone opposed to moving that forward? All right. So that'll move forward to the next meeting. We'll move on to number 4, discussion regarding a contract addendum with Suez Water.
Very confusing. Utility Service Company has an agreement with PAX Water, the supplier of the mixers. So that's why we're purchasing the new mixers or the replacement mixers from Utility Service Company. Utility Service Company is owned by Suez Water. And I'll try to not make it any more complicated than that. So we have a contract for annual maintenance for each of the 3 towers, and Suez or / Utility Service Company is wanting to do an addendum to that contract to add mixer maintenance and care to the contract so that the next time the mixers are in need of replacement, we don't have to pay them at that point. It'll be part of their overall management contract.
Okay. So I assume that when we get to the next meeting, we're going to see contract A in the total and contract B in the total and so on and so forth, as far as all these different agreements that you're talking about.
I can certainly do that. This is going to add a total of $8,579 annually to the 3 service contracts total.
All three combined.
It's going to add it to the existing.
It's going to add to the
So
existing.
there
maintenance
already is a
contract.
cost that's going to be that much more.
There is already a cost for the maintenance contracts, yes, sir.
Well, I think that's the way I would prefer it. I don't know about the rest of you. Sure. I'm not against it. I just can look at those numbers. I probably
Absolutely.
have a question. Okay, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, basically, what we're buying is a warranty on these mixers, is that right? I mean,
We can look at it like that, yes.
plus they're gonna add chemicals to the finish.
The chemicals are part of the cleanup after they have to enter the tank to perform maintenance on the mixers. So if
Dana,
they have
do
to
you-
provide service, then they disinfect and clean the inside of the tank as part of their normal procedure.
And that's part of this $8,000 some odd dollars. And
That's correct.
do you know how much is the warranty on the mixers and?
Well, this will be indefinite. So,
Right.
So do I know what the warranty is on the mixers themselves?
Yeah, I mean, if we're just going to, I mean, it sounds to me like we're buying a warranty on these mixers ongoing for infinite amount of time. I mean, that if they go bad, they're going to replace them instead of us having to replace them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I was just wondering what that cost us is compared to, because you've thrown it in with the mixing the solutions or whatever they're coating of the water inside.
We have combined all of the various activities of performing tank maintenance into one. That is correct.
I mean, I'm always leery when I go to buy a warranty of anything, and but I mean, in this case, it's probably a good deal that we do that. It's just, I mean, I'm just curious. It's kind of hard to tell what that's costing us when you throw it in with everything else. I mean,
I'll see if I can find that information for us. And keep in mind that when maintenance is performed on the mixers, it requires access to the mixers so that Moberly staff does not have to enter the towers. So it would be Suez staff that would climb the tower, enter the tower, perform the maintenance, and then exit the tower rather than us doing it. So it's a little different than a maintenance contract, say, or a maintenance agreement on a microwave for our house.
right.
Basically, we do nothing but pick up the phone and they show up, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I agree.
So that number 4 is for the Rollins Tower, then 5 and 6, one is Sparks and one is Wicker.
That is correct.
Okay, so we'll move on to anyone opposed to moving forward? Okay, so that moves forward. We'll move to number 5, which is, I believe, the same process except for Sparks Avenue, correct?
That is correct.
Questions about Sparks Avenue? All right, that'll move forward. Number 6 applies to Wicker Tower. Questions about the Wicker Tower? Okay, anybody opposed to moving that forward? Okay, so that will move forward. So those will all be on the next meeting. Thank you.
And for next time, I'll break down those costs for us so we can take a look.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to number 7, discussion of MACC field use agreement.
Yes, Mayor, this is a cooperative agreement between Moberly Area Community College, City of Moberly, and Parks and Rec. Troy's actually at his Parks and Rec meeting right now, so not able to be here, but this is the actual field use agreement for the baseball and softball programs that are going to be coming out next fall. So we've been working for a few months at trying to get a cooperative agreement in place that's workable and manageable and kind of takes into account that this is a new program. So you'll see a little bit of the language kind of recognizing the fluidity of the agreement and the arrangement. And then the next item 8 is also related to the improvements that are needed to be made to actually have college softball and baseball at our facility.
Okay, I just got through all the water tower contracts to get to that point. So, anyone have questions about the first part, which is the field use agreement? Anyone opposed to moving that forward to the next meeting? Okay, then that will move forward. Then we'll move on to Number 8, discussion of MECC field improvements agreement.
Yes, Mayor. So the capabilities of our facilities need to be at a level that's conducive to college baseball. So there's a cooperative agreement that's been reviewed by city staff and by MACC for improvements that will need to be made to our facility. This caps that amount at $100,000 payable back over the 5-year term.
Okay. Was there any discussion about after the 5 years? What kind of, I mean, will that pretty much do it for the duration, or do you think you'll have to just look at it then as far as?
I think they'll have to reevaluate then.
Okay. Anyone else questions about the agreement? You want to oppose to moving that forward? All right, hearing none, then that will move forward to the next meeting. And we'll move on to appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Yes, Mayor. Lee Seekins has an application in front of the city for appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. We currently have one opening and that one application on file.
All right. And do you recommend approval?
Yes.
Okay. Questions about the application?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
as you know, I serve on that commission, and I've had the opportunity to meet Lee, and she would be a great addition to the committee, I believe.
Okay. All right. So anyone opposed to moving that forward to the next meeting? All right. That'll move forward. And brings us to presentation from McClure on the marketing study report on the Fennel building.
Yes, tonight we have Clint Sloss here with McClure, and so he's the one that's, and some of his other colleagues have been working on a marketing study for that facility. Also, we have Anna Gill here with Marketing Council of Governments, who was the one who helped us get that, or wired the grant for us to get this completed.
Okay.
All right. Okay. It's up there. Okay, great. So, again, my name is Clint Sloss with McClure. I've been asked to come and kind of give you a little presentation about the process we've gone through and where we've landed on with this kind of amenity creation for the Fennel block space. This is kind of the overview here. I'm sorry. Trying to coordinate here. The overview here, again, determining the need, touring the site, meeting with stakeholders, and going through this process, and then also in progress as we're looking to near the completion of the work, doing kind of that local incentive package, if you will, as well as actually trying to attract or recruit a business in the space. Next slide, thank you. Okay, so we met with the city staff to discuss the need. We looked at a number of different studies, looked at a number of different things that are a draw downtown, including events, as well as the kind of current shopping and tourist attractions downtown, and identified that there's, from the different studies, that there's a need for a further attractor to the downtown area that's going to be a unique feature for tourism's sake. And so that was kind of one of the main pieces of our work is really what is that going to be that attractor. So next slide there. We came and did a tour of the site in July, and that was some different stakeholders from the community here, and discussed kind of what kind of things they'd like to see in the space, as well as, again, pulling from some of those other studies of saying, these are things we've heard from the public and other reports, and kind of did some ground truthing with that stakeholder committee to kind of come up with an idea of different things we want to see. We saw that, or we heard that there is a need for, again, more culinary or kind of experiential activities, so restaurants, bars, nightlife activities. We also heard that there already was enough retail or office space available, so something that's different from that would really be beneficial to the downtown. So from that, we kind of landed on this idea of a craft business, being a craft brewery, distillery, or winery, that's really going to be an attractor and can really utilize the entire space of the facility, as well as build on what is happening on the exterior which is the outdoor venue space the city is currently working towards. Next slide, please. So through this process, I met with a couple different brewers and distillers, one of them being Reclaimed Rails out of Bondurant, Iowa. There's an image of their facility there, which is an old train depot building. It's a small suburb of northeast Des Moines Metro. It's kind of hard to see there. But they really focus on, they have a lot of bike path, because right by their facility, really strong connection there to the community as a result of that location. I also met with a couple of different bankers to identify the dynamics that are necessary to be able to finance a brewery. Typically, from what I understand is, commercial loans for that are 50-50. Usually you bring 50% private equity, and then the bank will provide 50% to back that up. So it's a kind of a heavy lift, but definitely there is an opportunity and definitely interest in that still. I also reached out to both the Craft Brewers Guild and the Craft Distillers Guild to get some further insight and support on what brewers and distillers are looking for in a space and how we could attract them here. Next slide, please. And so looking at kind of what is the community capacity here in Moberly. Again, we've heard from the chamber and others that they're underserved by restaurants and eating venues, as well as just entertainment space in general. With a population of 13,717 for the community, we look at what is that population share that's above 21 that could patron this business. And so 5% is kind of an assumption that you look at, or a rule of thumb for this type of business. And we see that there's about 506 people that you could see regularly attend or be a part of this type of craft business. If you look county-wide or more of a regional scope, that's closer to 1,200 people that we could consider as potential patrons of this business. I'll also note, I was actually down over in Carrollton for lunch today. I went to the brewery. I did not have a drink, but I was able to eat lunch. It was very good food, great staff. Spoke to them about their business and really how they've been able to attract people from Kansas City as well as Marshall. So basically from a 60, 70 mile radius to their microbrewery there in Carrollton, which is a community of about 3,400 people, and not necessarily thought of as a tourist destination, but really an opportunity that they've been able to leverage to bring people to the community. They also they bring live music in regularly, which is another great attractor for them and something to consider for our space here. Another example I want to touch on is, if you go down, or if you go to slide, I believe it's slide 8, is, one more slide there, is Gazelic Brewing Company, and that is in Newton, Iowa. I chose this one because it's a similar size to Moberly, about 15,000 people. The site that they have their brewery on is actually an old Amana manufacturing campus. So it's a historic site. They've utilized that space for distribution as well as events. And they do a lot of family-oriented activities. So this image here is showing them during their weekly bingo night. And they really, again, they've provided a aesthetic and an ambiance of family and being able to comfortably come in with your kids and enjoy a drink and then be able to enjoy games and other activities while you're in the space. They also have a regular food truck calendar that provides them with their food options. They don't actually have any of their own. So that's another thing that I know the city is looking at with their outdoor venue space that could really partner well with this craft business opportunity. The last example I'm going to share with you is the Foundry. It's in West Des Moines, Iowa. It's obviously a much larger community, but why I chose this one is because it is built out of an old railcar depot building, a building that had been abandoned for decades. It's been repurposed into this large beer hall, also a distillery on site, as well as an outdoor beer garden and a kitchen that provides food for the facility, and also a nonprofit that teaches skills to homeless youth to help them skill up to be in the food industry. So a lot of different things in order to make that large facility work. But again, it's kind of repurposing these large spaces to do so. looking at the marketing strategy we put together, we have a printed brochure that's really kind of a pamphlet of the information I've already provided, as well as additional material to kind of get potential businesses interested in the space. We're also working on an online, more of an interactive component you can see here on the screen, which is going to highlight the Depot District and all the activity going on down there. A lot of improvements to a lot of businesses, proposed hotel, and all those different activities to really showcase why you'd want to be in the community and be in the Depot District with this business. We also are in the process of finalizing some 3D renderings of the renovation of the site, or a interpretation of the renderings of the site, so that again we can help that end user visualize how best to utilize that space. So a little overview of what we have in the space. We have kind of the production area where you actually make the beer or spirits for the winery. We also have a community room, or a room for parties. We have a flex space, which can be used for a future restaurant or any other use that you may see fit. And then we also have an option where you can do upper story housing. The challenge there is, for a distillery, it is not advised to have housing near a substance that is so flammable. So should you go down that route, that's not really an option to have a livable space upstairs. But you could also use upstairs for professional office space or some other use. But again, we're trying to look at what all could be for each of those different ideas or options. And then the final piece there is a Pro Auto building, which currently is being used by the city for some vehicle storage. We saw the opportunity there to continue that, but also have further storage for the business, as well as potential for indoor activities like a golf simulator or a batting cage, or maybe an arcade. You could do a number of different pop-up events as well. So there are different groups that go around and do pop-up arcades or pop-up indoor blow-up stuff. So a lot of different ideas you could do in there, kind of on a rolling basis, not necessarily one stationary use, but just some other ideas of how we can utilize the full space of the fiddle block. But this is kind of a general layout of the exterior. This is really more on the city side of things, focusing on this outdoor space, showing the green space there. Half of that green space will be fenced in, and Tom can talk more to that. But that's really the ideal for the outdoor event space. It could be live music. It could be the food truck market or different vendors within the canopy. So that definitely will contribute to the overall function, and I think the success of the fiddle block building. So here's some high-level renderings of what the layout we propose looks like. The far western building is proposed as kind of a tap room or tasting room area, really set up as kind of a restaurant-style hangout. The central space on the north is the production area, so the large area with the double span of the 2 stories really provides opportunity for tall equipment to be stationed there. There's also the passageway between all the buildings, so that really is kind of that central focal point of how you can access all the different features of the space. We also have a small party room, kind of a conference room at the front there, and then the far eastern bay is really a flex space. And I'll show you kind of what we have kind of proposed for this in this renderings here. So the first space I'm going to just show you some example images of is that tasting room, tap room space. This is the first image when you walk in. You can see facing north, the bar is set up in the back there. And that's the idea is that, again, this is open. It could be, tables can be moved and have different events, different activities in this space. This is kind of the reverse view from the back of the bar looking forward, looking out the windows on the next image there. There you go. From the bar. So again, just kind of giving you the reverse view, seeing how the depth of the space there. The next image I have is just kind of the image of the passageway between the tap room and the other spaces, kind of that central focal point here. And in this image, we are showing a distillery, but really, we're just trying to show you that the idea is that you want to have a large viewing window so you can see the operation in the works. A lot of people, the whole point of coming to these spaces is really to see how their beer or their wine or their spirits are made and be a part of that experience. And having these large windows really helps add to that experience for them. The next image is going to show you the flex space. And this is really foreseen right now as, again, could be about anything, but we saw it as more of a seasonal food truck space where on those cold nights or those cold winter days, bringing a food truck in, having kind of that indoor green space for people to come and enjoy food and just other activities in the space. But again, this is flex space, so it could be used for about anything you can think of. The next piece we touched on here is the financial model. So we kind of have on the left there kind of the startup costs, looking at a total of about $400,000. Those are really rough, high-level numbers here, and I tried to round them up so that they're not too difficult to read. And then on the right are kind of some renovation costs of the space. And so we've seen to date about $400,000 for the Fennel building and the Pro Auto building, those improvements. We see that there's probably another $200,000 to get it to a gray box standard of finish so that an end user, the end tenant can come in and really finish it off themselves. So looking at a full renovation cost about $600,000. And that startup would be right around $1 million is what we're looking at. Go to the next slide here. This is kind of looking at how do we actually incentivize this space and how do we get somebody in, a tenant in here or a business in here. And one of the ways we talked about was actually discounting the rent for the first 2 years to really let them get ramped up and get them in this space so that they're successful. So a lease space for something like this is typically $6 to $8 a square foot in this area in Moberly. We would consider looking at a $2 to $3 a square foot fee, which is about $1,700 or about $2,500 a month. Again, this is intentional that it's a kind of a built-in incentive. The city has the ability to do this because they currently own the space and can really be flexible in these terms. And then in year 3, you can increase that fee a little bit to kind of get them on the way to year 4, which is where we like to offer them to purchase the building outright or continue at a market rate for lease space. And that way, again, our goal is to put something in there that's going to be successful long term, and that's going to be using the space for a long period of time versus just somebody that's trying to make a business. The next slide here gives you a little example of what the revenues could look like. On the left there we have kind of a list of all the expenses. If you look at the rent there, it's $21,000. Again, that's very affordable for a space this size, this scale, which is what helps us, again, get this person in their space and get them up and running. So if you look at the right, the revenue, the on-site sales is about $315,000 projected, some wholesale at $25,000, and you look at a total revenue of about $340,000. So that net revenue, or the net revenue for the first year is about $25,000. It seems pretty low, but again, it's a startup, so we have to consider that in these first year, which is why we're trying to give them a discounted rent. Some local incentives we've been kind of discussing or we know of are the private property improvement grant offered through the city, also the property tax rebate program, and this would be only really available upon ownership of the property. So once that business takes ownership of the building, then that could be offered to them, again, to help them maintain and to be successful. And then should there be opportunity for residential rental upstairs, so again, for a brewery or winery where it's a safer bet to have residential on site, we could look at using the rent-to-buy program the city offers to help buy down those leases a little bit for the first 12 months. And then lastly, look at kind of the state and federal. We know that there's state TIF and downtown revite preservation programs, but we know they may not be the best fit for this program. So really we focused on how do we use historic tax credits for the space. And I just did a really high level estimate, based on that $1 million cost estimate, just to give you some figures here. So at the state level, we can get up 25% in credits. So if you have $1 million, you could up to $250,000 in state credits. Those are transferable to the business owner, or they could be sold at about a discount of 15%. So I really would transfer to about $212,000. If you look at federal tax credits, they're 20%, and so you can get maybe up to $200,000, but really discounted if you were to sell those to $170,000. And these funds really go towards helping a new business come in there and really be successful in investing in that property and really making it something the community is proud of. And then lastly, again, we're in progress of finalizing this project. So we have the online brochure I kind of touched on earlier, which is done using a program called ArcGIS Story Maps. So that'll be kind of an interactive map. You can see and click on the map and see where there's improvements being made downtown, and just be something that could be shared amongst different groups and also placed on the city's website very easily. Looking at business recruitment, again, working with the guild, the state guilds, Missouri Distillery Guild and the Craft Brewer Guilds to help, again, market the space and attract a potential user is kind of our next step here. And then looking at how we follow up with the Department of Economic Development and their historic tax credit eligibility for the space. Again, wanting to make sure that future renovations are in line with what they allow and are able to be credible for them. So again, that's kind of a little overview here. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to take those now.
Questions, anyone? What kind of time period are you thinking that what you're creating to be on the website and
Yeah.
is that going to be more of a passive type thing? That's not something that you're going to target besides the guilds that you refer to. You're not,
Yeah.
you don't have a targeted marketing of that information to any particular place or state or.
So with the guilds, we're looking at, do they know of interested brewers that are wanting to either have a secondary location? Because that's one of the targets, is really wanting to have a existing brewer that is experienced, or distiller or what have you, that is experienced, that can come in here and be successful. So that's really one of the approaches we're looking at targeting. And then how do we go to them and talk to them about bringing them here? What are the things they need to come into this space? So that's kind of where we're at.
Questions, anyone?
I have a question.
Oh,
All right, Mr. Kaiser.
Mr. Kaiser. Yes, Austin Kaiser.
Couldn't tell. I can't see you very well.
The question is, you mentioned an established brewer that is looking for a second location. Would it not be better to find, I mean, when you talk about like Carrollton, when you talk about all these others,
yeah.
those are the first locations where they went into those small areas.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be a better marketing approach to go to somebody who's new, to instead of convincing somebody in the Kansas City, St. Louis market, say, hey, you need to set up a second one in Little Moberly, Missouri? That's my question. Is it set go after an established one?
No, I think it's not a either or, it's a both and. It's really looking at what's out there. I think from our experience talking with the different breweries and distilleries, quality product is really number one. If you have a customer who has a bad experience and they come in and you don't have a consistent quality product, then they're going to be turned away and it may not ever come back. And so our goal is to make sure that whoever comes in here has the skills and experience to make a quality product consistently, and that can get people to come back and return to the community. So if that is somebody that is less experienced, we're happy to open the door to them. But we're just trying to identify what the best solution is that can be the most successful.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. So do you have a feel? I mean, obviously the craft brewery thing's been going for some time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the trend? Is the trend more toward the distilling or brewing, or is it even, or how would you just want to characterize that?
I think it's really more about the experience in the space. A lot of spaces now are highly amenitized. They have activities, they have gamings, and it's almost like the craft itself, the beer, the actual product. It's important. It gets you there, but then it's also what else can I do there? I think having the space as it is currently with different amenities interior as well as the exterior space, I think is going to be a really enticing thing to get somebody here. And I think talking again with a couple of the bankers in particular, they're excited about it. They thought that this is a great location, a great opportunity. Again, with all the other investments going on downtown, the folks at the hotel is another thing that's really an important piece. Again, is having people down here that are maybe not from here, but down here to check it out, patron it, is very important. So having those things kind of work together is a really important thing.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Last call. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
So that concludes the agenda for the work session. If there's not anything else to come in front of the council for the work session, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to the closed session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.